So, hello everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you're calling from. As Ali
Hello.
just said, my name is Larbi Belkhit. I'm an industry analyst at ABI Research, and I focus on the telco AI research area within the company, looking at it both from an internal and an external perspective. And today, I'm really pleased to be accompanied by some really great panelists today to talk about how telcos can enable enterprise AI. So to start off with, perhaps Frank, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. So Frank Miller, I'm the Chief AI and Platforms Officer at Colt. So, been building and platformizing and softwareizing, telecom for goodness, I think maybe more than a decade now, right? So I think it's been about, 12 years. As a primary focus was the chief architect at Lumen, um, you know, built the platform framework at, Vodafone Group. So I'm now at Colt.
Very good. Great to have you today. Marie-Hélène, would you like to introduce yourselves next?
Yes, hello, and thank you very much for having me. So, hi everyone. I work at Orange Business, which is the B2B branch of Orange. I'm in charge of the strategic domain around employee experience, and as such, I'm looking at products and services we can develop for our customers in France and outside of France to help them master generative AI and augment their company and their employees with it.
Very good. Inês, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you very much. So I am leading a team of AI and data science at Vodafone Group. So we develop AI applications and we try to optimize our networks as much as possible. I work in digital networks to develop products for Europe and outside of Europe. Very nice to meet you all.
Inês, who do you report to? Are you in through Scott Petty, or which group do you report to?
No. So I am under digital from Nadia into Simon Norton.
Oh, for Nadia Benabush.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I used to report to, Vinod, right? So I was with him back in the day before he left.
Very good.
Got it.
And last but not least, Beatriz, would you like to go?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this interesting panel. I'm a business developer in Red Hat for Telco EMEA, and I'm trying to understand the gaps and the goals that the telco wanted just to achieve just around AI in order to be part of the solution from Red Hat, okay? And I have a
Very
strong
good.
background in Vodafone as well, so I know Scott Petty and Nadia and
Very good to have you all here today. So before we start, I'd like to just say that this is an extremely timely panel session because we're currently seeing a lot of activity in the market when it comes to telcos trying to enable enterprise AI, whether that be the Deutsche Telekom AI Gigafactory plans that were announced earlier this year. There's many telcos across the world that are doing a similar type of project, from the SK Telecoms of the world to TELUS to even SoftBank now. That's more on the infrastructure side, but also on the software side. And there are many different ways that telcos are positioned to support enterprise AI. But before we dive into that, I thought it'd be great to start off with a question saying that before we enable enterprise AI, how can a telco be classified as AI ready from your perspectives?
Oh, you want me to answer this or
Yeah,
now?
Open floor.
Sure. So from my point of view, it's interesting. So we have two things. We have an internal journey. We're basically customer zero. So we have a factory, a very mature governance framework that we're developing and looking at the value props. It's all the way from the complex net ops to, finance, churn reduction, all the usual stuff, to a common AI ops platform. But the platform we're building, all the way from the network automation to the federated inference that we use internally, becomes what we provide to our customers. So for me, being AI ready means being ready as an org. You're really taking the journey, and then you bring your customers along with the journey.
And if I
Very
can
good.
complement that, because we've been talking to customers, it's really interesting. When you talk to AI to your customer and you're a telco, they actually have expectations. So maybe being AI ready is, when are they seeing us AI ready? And I think it comes down to, as customers, when do they actually feel the benefit of us using AI? And there are kind of two main areas where, as telcos, we're expected to use AI to our customers' benefit, and that is clearly in the customer relationship and also in network management and in particular troubleshooting. So I
Mm.
think these are the two areas where when we start producing results, being faster or being more accurate or dealing better with what customers want, that's when they see us as AI ready.
Very true.
Yeah, and jumping on board, let me just say on the part of networks, I'm going to go with a bit like with Marie-Hélène. So if we can support what they are developing, what we need is like strong edge computing. Like the edge of networks, it has to have low latency. It has to be prepared for processing data. It has to be real time. We want it to be as autonomous as possible. And of course, secure. So the part on security, especially now with Gen AI, it's something that it's very relevant to the clients. It's kind of easy for it, and getting to the videos, getting to fakes, getting to so many things, and the customers are definitely relying on us to be able to protect them from this point of view as well. I think that's what makes us AI ready.
Okay, I will add just one comment. I think that the customer will expect in just from the telco capillarity, that is just the need just to be inference at the border, because only telco are able just to provide it. It's true that the sovereignty just is the trust of the data, and the data just the security of the data is another one, okay? And of course, just being, as Inês was saying, one AI native tech reference, okay? So you need just to adopt internally first what you are trying to sell later, okay? So for me, that is the three main topics that you need just that the telco had to do in advance before internally in order to sell later that kind of reference. So, and that is later, of course, I think the telco need to understand what is the special circumstances of the enterprise in each of the niche or just industries in order to solve with use cases or specific use cases to that.
Yeah, Beatriz, I think you've absolutely nailed it, and all the panelists have nailed all the features, checking them off. I agree. I think there was a change, no different than, things started with public cloud, it became private hybrid cloud. You're absolutely seeing workloads go in that manner now from AI ops, especially on the inference domain, being where the inference is needed, depending on the business rules, right? So I think that change tied to capillarity really puts telecom in a very strong position.
Yeah, definitely. You are a unique position.
Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think if I can add something here, there is definitely a shift now in the market towards moving away from simply training these large language models to this inferencing domain. And beyond that, we're even seeing discussions around distributing the inference. And this is where, from my perspective, telcos are very uniquely positioned. They have the edge sites, as Inês said, they have all this infrastructure. And something that cannot be overlooked is they have the trust of the local governments to run these workloads, whether they're for the municipalities or for the local enterprises. They're well known and trusted. Perhaps they're not as well known in the AI market as they are in the connectivity market, but there is a level of trust there, which is why they perhaps are uniquely positioned compared to the hyperscalers or these alternative cloud providers that have arisen over the last few years, or GPU cloud providers as they're known. From any of your perspectives, do you see any other unique value propositions that telcos offer beyond actually having the infrastructure from a sovereign perspective?
I think a major difference would be if you're building those private secure pipes, like was mentioned, is having the underlay, right? So also on the enterprise perspective, when you actually have the underlay, you really can control the quality of experience and engineering definitions that you need for those AI workloads. So that's a big difference too. So, at the end of the day, I think, gosh, especially Orange and, Vodafone are making strides towards network as a service. So to have exposable control to be able to build intent-based networks towards the engineering needs of AI is another key differentiator for telecom, not just having the pipe, but having the right pipe, including, capacity scaling too, right? There's a lot of complex features we can put in because the traffic will be dynamic, right? And it has very unique needs. Could it be sovereign? Could it be latency, right? So I think that's a differentiator.
Definitely. I think later just you will not sell just connectivity or just bandwidth. You sell just services based in low latency or just in some specific security quality services. I'm quite sure that you will change your approach to the enterprise.
Yeah, no, a very good example of this is at Orange, and I'm sure my peers have similar stories. When you run a use case for, say, a frontline worker, so someone who's by definition very mobile and has to go to specific sites and do specific things on a machine or whatever, some use cases, when you deliver them over slicing, 5G slicing, it's completely different to what you may obtain with just non-standard 5G or 4G. Or so being able to match those use cases with the right connectivity, but also, yeah, as you said, the right latency and stuff is actually going to, I think, is going to become more and more important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to add one capability that you have, okay? So I think considering that the rest of the enterprise has not as technical as telco is, I think you can be a very good artificial intelligence or machine learning operation broker, okay? So you can have just the framework or just the platform. It's one area that is AI Gigafactory just providing, okay? Just in order that the final customer don't be worried about Kubernetes or just the different tools that you need in order to, you can provide as a service as well, okay? So in order to be or enable just the enterprise to be focused just in the use case, in the business that they are worried about that, not in the other infrastructure needs that it's required.
Yeah, I think you hit a good point, Beatriz. So I really see telecom as the broker because you have capillarity. I think all of us have direct connects with the key hyperscalers, right? Direct cloud connects for short-term peering. So the ability to build, every customer has a different use case. They might have a little bit of hyperscaler A and B. Maybe there's an opportunity to provide edge inference, maybe some, local models, right? Everybody has slight different use case, but telecoms are in the middle. We can literally broker the customer experience to build an end-to-end mature AI ops enterprise factory, right? No matter where they do their training, no matter where they want to run their inference. So again, we are the folks that put it all together as telecoms.
And to pick up on Frank's point earlier about us being customer zero, which I think is definitely the right approach when it comes to Gen AI. Everybody's trying to understand what brings value, where does it actually work, and so on and so forth. And one thing, when I talk to customers, one thing that's quite funny is that we as telcos, we actually have lots of types of jobs in our company. So we have people who are frontliners, people who who climb on big masts to fix a mobile antenna. We have people who make the calls, but we also have marketing people. We have people involved in the customer relationship, and we have people in shops for some of us, and so on and so forth. So it actually makes us a really interesting experimental ground for generative AI, and therefore when we talk to our customers, especially enterprise customers, we can come with this experience, and more often than not, we have people in our organizations that will look like customers' employees, and so we can relate to them and share experience, and that I think is quite unique actually.
No, I'm totally with you. I'm with a customer trip now in India, right? And that's the exact question they had. What was your journey? What have you built? What are the use cases? What were the challenges? So being customer zero and bringing that story, I think, is key.
Very good. Well, I guess that perfectly segues me into the next question, because you're on a customer trip right now, Frank. So we've seen many reports coming out. Well, mainly the headline one has been the one that came out from MIT, where a lot of the AI usage internally at enterprises, I think the number was around 95% of these projects have failed. Are there any specific challenges or concerns that enterprises bring up when it comes to using AI for their own purposes when you're discussing this with them?
I think, and sorry, I keep on jumping in first. I promise on the next one I'll be quiet. I had too much coffee. Right? I promise, guys. I think the lesson that we bring to our customers, I don't know if you guys agree here, is you have to own this, right? So even from a customer zero perspective, what's happening is many integrators, consultants, contract houses come in from the outside, and you end up, if you don't manage this with internal, really mature governance and approval framework and an architecture framework, you come up with 20 solutions without clear KPIs and value use cases and 20 islands, right? That's just not supportable. You have 20 different, you know, platforms, solutions, you know, literally methodology to, you know, actually run, you know, your factory at scale. That doesn't work. So my recommendation, and I'm absolutely sure that Vodafone and Orange is in the same thing, is to build your governance framework, your regulatory framework. How do you approve? Make the journey so you have one platform to manage, make sure you're meeting your KPIs and your value props, and then learn fast. So the reason, you know, we have quarter sprints is we do scale for data and applicability. If we're just not seeing it, you fail fast and you kick it out, right? And you build the next one or you tune it and adjust. But that'd be my message, is to own it, right? Really own this and then bring in help. But, you know, own the vision.
Very, very close to the Frank speech. Okay, so I'm considering that the three main pillars for our success is, of course, the model. Okay, the data, essential. Without the good data, healthy data, you will not have success, and the ecosystem. So I think the concern that I'm having is everyone is just be focused in the model and just working in the training. That is fine, but the inference is the second phase of the AI is very relevant, okay? Because you don't want only to have one laboratory, the best model or algorithms in your laboratory. You want it just to have productivity there, okay? So in order to have this kind of productivity, the ecosystem should be just be prepared. So the operational part is as essential as the training part that can be done in the hyperscales or just in a laboratory. So connect the both sides is very, very relevant. But the key point here is the data. So, and who is the owner of the data? You, my friends, the telco has the data, and if you want just to provide for internal case, okay, but sometimes for external case, you are providing useful data just from your VSS, from your USS, from your real-time data that you are having, just come with the data that is coming from the partner. So only be focused in the model will not guarantee the success. That is my...
Yeah, I fully agree with this, Beatriz. And I think if you look at enterprises, loads of them, I think they had an incredibly technology approach to generative AI. But at the end of the day, we're talking about human transformation. You need to work differently with Gen AI. That's when you get the impact, right? And that takes time. And I think that has been vastly underestimated, as often is the case with technology, right? And so, yes, the MIT report is probably not a surprise. It's actually what we see. But people need to learn and need to, what we fail to see with lots of customers is there is a top-down approach where you have people who think about use cases, about technology, about, you know, LLMs and stuff, and they try and push this into the organization. But it's also very, very important to have a bottom-up approach where you actually put a generative AI tool in the hands of people and you let them learn, you let them try, and they will gradually have the right ideas about how to do their job faster or better. And they need time for this. You don't learn this overnight, because you have to trust the thing you're working with. You have to realize what it can do, also what it can't do, and that's transformation is hugely important, and it's always going to take time. So I don't think the MIT report is surprising. We would be wrong to think it shows a failure of generative AI. It's just, if anything, it shows impatience on lots of people's side. But it will happen. Just people need that time to get, you know, to know how to use Gen AI.
Yeah, and I think it's important to realize also, like I said, it is a life cycle. So generative AI requires, you know, LLM ops, prompt ops, right, on top of the standard stuff you do with inference, where you look for drift and accuracy. So I think it still is, it is still a production process with an operational life cycle. So that, I think it's helpful to build, you know, one AI ops platform and methodology, because then you get the cost benefit. You know, everything goes into one factory and has a life cycle.
If I may just jump in very quickly. So when it comes to training models, not exactly training models, large language models. So foundational models are super, hyper, mega expensive. That is not something that we're definitely doing. What we're doing maybe is fine-tuning or adapting into what we want. And we're very much focused on the inference and on the end. That's why we have the partners with Google. That's why we're partnering with Microsoft. We definitely do not want to do this at all. But the thing that seems to be the most question is that people want to try it, and maybe they do not have the right problem. It's not just because you have something that you can do right that you're going to go to do it. So there's a bit of a hype on everyone wanted to trying, but exactly like it was just mentioned, there are problems that this is definitely going to solve, and maybe they are not being oriented in the right way because everyone is excited. But I do believe this is not going anywhere. So you're definitely going to have this in your life, and maybe right now you're not focused the 95%, maybe only a bit, but that bit will give you the 80% of value that you're looking for. So
yeah, right.
we're just trying, and eventually we're going to go down the road into the right way.
Absolutely. And if I can add one thing, it's to echo something that Marie-Hélène actually said, where you'd take a bottom-up approach. That same MIT report said that the shadow AI economy, which is where users use their own subscriptions for ChatGPT, Perplexity, whichever model it is, they found a lot of success with using it this way. So it's about combining, like you said, the bottom up and top down approaches to create a federated process for the use of AI internally.
Yeah.
And also, I think that's it's a skewed report. It's a skewed report because the 95% metric is for custom built models. And it's also, we have to take into account who it's produced by. This MIT group focuses on advancing agentic AI. And that was the takeaway. Agentic AI fixes the issues here. So just to add a bit of color to that report, because everyone saw the 95% headline and the markets went a bit crazy.
Well, when it comes to agentic AI, just a few years ago, it was called modular architecture, right? So that's also another one that you need to take with a bit of salt. But
and I think Andrew N actually published the blueprint. I think it was in 2019. So it is also kind of the spin of the year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to perhaps delve a bit deeper into something that Inês mentioned, which is the partnerships that telcos are establishing. She mentioned the partnerships that Vodafone is working on, but what other partnerships are you seeing in the industry from telcos to help support enterprises and enable AI?
So since you just mentioned me, so we do have partnerships that are widely known. So we have AWS. We work with AWS on a lot of our products, from VTV to the Edge, and Google. Google is the one where we have our data lakes, but we need these vendors. So it's not like Vodafone is going to go and build anything without these partnerships, but these partners are not close to the customer. So the thing that you need to do is this bridge into, I think it was Marie-Hélène that just mentioned that the fact that you're close to your customer and you are the one who are developing that particular solution, that kind of 5G standalone that exists where they want to exist, if they want drones, if they want what they want, this is not Microsoft or Google that are going to do. So we need them to support us and to help us with AI, because right now, of course, networks, we have Ericsson and Huawei, but we need to open our views to other AI companies, but still we do need to be there. So we are the ones that are customizing the products, and they are close to the client and understanding what they need. So this is like a healthy balance between what they can give us, but also what we can input. That's how we can sort of differentiate a bit, but we need the partnerships. I don't think we're going to make it alone at any circumstance. So,
of course not. From my understanding, as you are saying, you are the bridge between the data that is in the customer and sometimes the hyperscaler that perhaps you are using for training models. Okay, so you have to. You need partners for the hardware, for the chip and hardware, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, for the platform. You need one Kubernetes approach, able to cover core and edge, as we were saying before. That is important, the capillarity. Of course, you need the hyperscales, but one step beyond, you need as you mentioned, your main vendors that you are having for BSS or OSS. I'm talking about Netcracker, that was before in the panel, or Amdocs BSS for Ericsson or Nokia. Okay, you need to do that, and you will generate one specific ecosystem, I think, for that specific vertical application that will be required just by the health industry or just the automobile just industry or bank industry, because you will need partners able just to generate just a specific solution for there. So honestly, you will be, and I think that is one of the strengths that the telco has. You can provide just the right ecosystem. Doesn't matter if it's in the infrastructure or if it's in the hosting, just the partners able just to generate the last mile of the application to the enterprise. That is fully agree with Inês, because you are the bridge between the standard factory that is not covering just the needs that you have for the security in your country with the data that is in the customer hands.
And if I can maybe build on what Inês and Beatriz have just said, there's a thing we have as telcos, which is we've always offered our customers solutions that were standard enough that they didn't really depend on us in a way. Whether that's good or bad is debatable, but essentially, we have number porting stuff, and so if you have one telco, you're not happy with them, you want to move to the next one, it's doable. So being able to provide our customers with this sort of I'm going to say some degree of independence is actually going to be something we can try and leverage for AI. And that means avoiding vendor lock-in to specific AI editors. And there's one crucial thing we need to do here in Europe, and I think we have a huge role to play there, is to make sure that we have viable European AI partners. And we're starting to see some of them. Mistral is one of them. We at Orange, we like to work with Lighton as well. There are other players in Europe, but I think it will be our common interest to be able to sustain that European AI landscape. And I definitely think we have a role to play there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the open source community, and I'm sorry, I'm coming from Red Hat, so that is a very sensible speech for us. I think the open source community should be considered in order to maintain just the freedom, or just trying to be agnostic, not locking, that you were saying before, Marie. So it's important just to understand open source like the way to maintain just the freedom and just to be innovative just each time. Okay, so that is important, and I think Red Hat is here in order to manage that kind of solution from with the enterprise requirement that is required just in order to have the security and control and governance. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah, oh, it's okay. It's totally cool. Yeah, and I totally agree with Inês. We are the bridge. We have the customer. I think we all have, actually many common partners here. We work with, of course, Microsoft, Google, and NVIDIA, as key partners, but bringing key use cases for them are of extreme interest and makes me happy. Customer voice, right? We all win. But also, if you move more towards, strategic partnerships, right? So there's focus there, including even academia and research. Right, because there's some really good work going on, for instance, at Oxford, Cambridge, in this domain, tied to key use cases, but also in solving the performance challenge. I'll be transparent. It just takes too much power and resources to run generative models right now. Right, there has to be massive improvement in the algorithmic work, in the system architecture, and even in what we're using for silicon. Right, so there is a journey. So let's talk about AGI. When people talk about AGI, I still scratch my head, because to do the amount of teraflops that you do in your mind, a human mind, right now takes about 2.2 gigawatts, right? Our mind uses 12 watts. So to me, the road to AGI requires radical change to really have value, right? To run 2.2 gigawatts, to have equivalency, at least for AGI, that is a non-starter. So there's many journeys here I think we can take together based on the customer voice, but also aligning with research, standards bodies, and together to create, like you said, Beatriz, a foundational, I'm going to honestly say vendor neutral, right? Hyperscaler neutral, right? That we can have one way that we build stuff and it all interoperates together. I mean, ATA is a good start, but there's still some other standards and foundations and blueprints and technologies and stuff that needs to be figured out. Sorry for using stuff, not a real technical term. I was trying to come up with a technical term, it just didn't come. Sorry.
No, sometimes it gets the point across in the most coherent way, right? So it's worthwhile
Okay.
using.
Yeah.
And this has been great, and I'm really liking this discussion. If I could perhaps just slightly pivot back towards away from the partnerships, but more to the enterprises themselves. Are there any specific verticals that you're seeing that telcos have good foothold in or traction when it comes to enterprise AI? Like, for example, if you look at what Deutsche Telekom's working on, this AI gigafactory, that's more about the manufacturing landscape. And that's the one I've personally seen being as the biggest driver in terms of partnerships with telcos in Europe. But are there any others that are perhaps more under the radar but have high growth potential?
I think it's health, right? So we've seen a lot in the health domain, specifically what you do at a hospital, right? There's many use cases in a hospital, right? We've also seen military, right? So from a military perspective, there's actually edge compute frameworks being built for ships, submarines, right? Even X generation fighter aircraft. So there are domains that I think, of course we can't help too much with the fighter aircraft, but I think we can help with the inference capabilities, required from a federated perspective with the defense industry, for instance. And I think the other one was more not quite manufacturing, but we've had discussions with those who actually do mining, right? That's very sensitive for, safety and security, that the visual, right? The visual work coming in and the associated inference and action also is phenomenally time sensitive. So that ties to, at least a telecom, capillarity framework. So I'm sure other folks have other, verticals to hit.
Yes, I fully agree with everything you've said. I would add that the public sector at large is really, really interested. All those promises about productivity, they usually, by the way, hate the word productivity, but actually that's kind of what they're looking for. And because they don't have a choice, right? They have, massive pressure on their budgets, and they need to find new ways of working, a new way of delivering the services that they exist for. So we've seen definitely in France lots of traction, but actually in Europe, lots of traction around the public sector. Clearly, there's an industry that's always been very big on data and using data, and which is the financial industry, banks and insurance. The only thing I would say about this vertical is they're massively keen. They've done lots of investment, but the bigger players in that industry, like huge banks, for instance, they have their own data scientists. They have masses of them, so they're kind of autonomous to some extent. But when you go towards small organizations in that sector, they are definitely also massively interested. It's definitely part of their culture. So yeah, these are the two sectors maybe I would add.
Very good.
So in summary, I think all the use cases or all the industries that requires low latency, specific security, just circumstances, okay, and just presence at the edge, okay. So of course, the three main industries that you were mentioning, manufacturing, just retail and logistics, and financial services and healthcare are, of course, because they are, but in any case, in any industry that where is required low latency, security, and presence at the edge, I think telco should be part of the solution.
Yeah, definitely. And the case of public sector, it's not necessarily latency, but you're completely right about security is massively high on the agenda, complaints as well. And so they're the extra secure solutions with full residency of data and only using European editors and stuff, that they're really interested in that sort of approach. Yeah, definitely. And we obviously as telcos have a role to play in terms of infrastructure, but also partnerships. Yeah.
Very good. And if I can perhaps play devil's advocate here, a lot of these verticals that we've discussed, whilst they do require edge compute for their AI workloads, they may prefer on-premise approaches. For example, manufacturing or healthcare, if there's for security purposes, for protecting customer data, even to the facility itself. how do you see the balance for these, and how does this change the opportunity for telcos?
Well, if I can start. So the fact that you can give them a private network and you can have your own data center when they can keep their data secure, and I think you're already giving them a bit of the customized bit that they want. But truth be told, the fact that it has to be really fast, for instance, for, like for cameras and security, you cannot just go back somewhere and come back. And the problem with on-prem is that you install something and it is working, and it may even be cheaper, but in 6 months, you will need to update the damn model that is running. And it keeps moving so fast that even though if you're okay with having that version that works, but you keep upgrading so many things that right now on-prem really is bringing up a challenge, not because you cannot use it, you definitely can, and it's cheaper, but it brings an operational problem to keep it updated and to keep it maintained as opposed to the cloud version. But on the other hand, you do have a cloud that is private. So you can kind of have an hybrid that it's not completely open, that it's not connected to others, and give them exactly what they want. And funny enough, talking about what Marie was just saying, that the manufacturing, one of our biggest examples was exactly a cement factory that has this private network, and they are doing everything on edge through a private standalone 5G. So, and this is basically the big thing that we want to do more often. And then, of course, supply them with AI products on top of that, because we're already there. This is what we want to do. So.
And I'm fully with you. I still think we are the connectors, right? So no matter what type of solution, whatever type of AI ops architecture, whether it's, inference on edge private cloud, still, as this ecosystem is built together, if they're doing actually the front end of the AI ops right at a hyperscaler, right, that's fine. It just doesn't matter, right? We can, I think as telecoms meet all needs, as long as we have something that we can build that is intelligent, is ready-made for, AI needs. It was already mentioned, it could be latency, it could be sovereignty, it could be, green awareness, you name it, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I was hoping to hear from you all, because at the end of the day, there are some use cases where on-prem makes sense, but not everyone can afford the operational side of things, and not everyone has the know-how and the expertise to run this themselves, then it may not be fiscally feasible, right? So this is where the it gets a bit more tricky. But I think the way I'm seeing it personally, and I believe that on-prem makes sense for only certain use cases, even in manufacturing and healthcare, but a lot of the productivity related, quote unquote, productivity related use cases, they don't require on-prem per se. If you look at healthcare, to just operationalize the process, you can have the edge provided by the telco with all the capabilities.
So perhaps the answer that you are defining is hybrid approach, okay?
Yeah.
So at the beginning, you have everything, a telco have everything in on-premise. Later, just 3 years ago, 5 years ago, everyone wanted just to put everything in the hyperscales. Now with the sovereign cloud, you are saying, okay, take it easy, because in some cases are not. So the hybrid approach I think is the right approach, because you will have a lot of advantage in the hyperscales, the scalability, the innovation, everything. And later you will need just to maintain some specific security asset or just data in your on-premise, and just, of course, just be ready just to reach with the inference to the border. So hybrid approach is the right approach, as always, the balance.
Yep. To meet the business need.
Absolutely. If I could ask perhaps a final question before we move over to any Q&A that's coming from the audience. We mentioned agentic AI earlier. Do you believe this will actually spur a lot of demand in the short to medium term in terms of working with telcos to run these models? Because there's different approaches, right? You can have this multi-agent approach, you can have a super agent approach, there's a lot of complexity that comes with that from a security perspective. And then also you need to be able to run all of these and fine tune them in some cases. So what are your perspectives on the telco's role when it comes to the agentic AI side of things?
Yeah, I think it's literally to be an agentic marketplace, right? So at the end of the day, since again, we are the partners in the middle, we can bring other partners who have agentic frameworks that can be leveraged as templates, right? And also, since we build, secure private AI ready networks, we can glue all the agents together. So again, at least that's what I see the role is.
Yeah, and I would add that coming back to that famous customer zero approach, let's also all of us find agents that really bring value to us. Let's start
Absolutely.
with that.
Yep, working on it now.
Yeah, I think the most of you are working in this TM Forum program that is autonomous network journey. So plenty of agentics will be considered there. So if you are assuming that really, and I think it's the right approach, because when we were considering just end-to-end processes, it was huge. Okay, it's impossible just to manage just all the activity that you have in your operation just with only one solution or one agentic. So yes, if you have pieces like a military, just yeah, plenty of robotics that are able just to work together, just in the case that you need. Okay, you can just compose a lot of just use cases, complex use cases based in the vertical, well done agentic AI exercise. So I think at the beginning you will be able to implement just internally for you, but later you will be able just to provide agentic AI as a service. Okay, because I'm just inventing a new term, but you are able just to manage just quality of service on demand, or just depends on that. So perhaps you have one specific agent is able just to provide that kind of automated just exercise.
Very good. I've just checked the Q&A, and I think we are starting to see some come through. So I'll start with the first one, which is, where do you see AI being most impactful in telco networks? There's lots of good work being done in BSS and customer-facing areas, but what about the network itself?
I think I'm going to jump on that.
Sure, go on. Yeah, give it a go. No, I'll go after you. I give it a go, Inês.
Since I'm right on networks, so there is a lot of talk about autonomous networks, and I think every telecom wants to go there to start with, and I don't think we can do it without AI, because the systems get more complex, it's harder to restart, understand, getting the energy right, because we're using the energy costs are going up, and we'll keep using it more, and we need that we have a lower latency, but these also need to be autonomously tracked and operated. And we do, especially like the team where I am exactly, what we do every day is this. We develop AI solutions, again, exactly like Beatriz was saying, hybrid. Sometimes it's machine learning, sometimes it's rule-based, sometimes it's Gen AI. You need to have the right solution to the problem that you have. And this is exactly what we're developing. We're trying to come up with all the ways that manually or things that are done with where the human at some point has to go and decide, to try and automate it as much as possible, because that's the way forward. And we are putting a lot of effort into the autonomous networks. Definitely something we are doing every day. Sorry.
Yeah, No, I literally think it's a matter of survival for the telecom industry, because we came first, right? We have a lot of complex OSS, BSS workflows that were imperative. In other words, they were manually written, right? This is not a good operate model, right? To provide the same, how do you say, opportunity to just deliver services, right? So the hyperscalers came later. So there's much more efficiency because they didn't come with the technical debt, right? So I think there's an opportunity for telecom to leverage this AI journey to be able to at least have the same operate model efficiency as a hyperscaler, right? And I think we owe that to our customers. And here's a case in point. So it is kind of a journey. You have to have a network as a service estate first with accurate inventory, right? And you have to have already done that automation journey, maybe expose them as APIs. That's what, NAS is all about. But what's interesting is, just imagine a world where you have an agentic agent on top of your network estate. Maybe it's from optical to layer 3 services, but you have agentic agents across your estate. You have a northbound orchestrator. You put that together, you now have your foundation leveraging AI. And here's where that's critical. I don't know if you guys remember back in the Open Daylight, ONOS, all these model-driven orchestrators that kind of happened for about 10 years that were supposed to make things easy, where you could just kind of say what you want, like an adjective, give me this, this, and this, and then it kind of goes to the orchestrators, the multi-domain orchestrator, and talks to everything, and you get an answer back of your topology and your service. Well, you know what? That never worked, right? It's going to work with agentic frameworks. Trust me, we've done experimentation where now you just say, hi, I want this, this, and this. You go and you communicate across your NAS estate, and now you get multiple solutions and answers based upon just providing adjectives, right? So yeah, we're getting there. We're almost there, right? AI will be the differentiator. I'm absolutely sure of it. It'll be good for the customer. It'll be good for the telecom industry.
And you are starting a very good momentum now, okay? Because now you are providing connectivity bandwidth, okay? Now, if you want it to be part of the solution, of this AI foster, I think this momentum is essential, okay? In order, I'm quite sure that the autonomous network journey, Inês, I know you will be agree with me, will have a lot of just OpEx reduction, okay? So this money can be just used in order to enable just new activities with the B2B, or just create new innovative just services in order to be not only just the pipeline or just the bandwidth, or as mentioned before, the connectivity provider, just be part of the solution that the partners want, or the customers want it just to be. So I think the momentum is starting now, I think, and we are very good lights, okay, in the future, okay. So Sovereign Cloud is the right momentum in order to have the presence. The hyperscales is providing a lot of things. You have a very good partner ecosystem, and the open source again is very vibrant with this AI solutions. We can see just a lot of new methodology solutions, LLMs just every day.
Very good. I'll ask the next one here is, which enterprise AI application is the panel most excited about for the future? And it doesn't matter how blue sky it is.
If I can jump on this one as well. So not exactly AI application, but I think what is more incredible, and following exactly on what Beatriz was saying, is that if you give our customers the chance to do anything AI, because we give them a secure network where they can just try out different ideas and move on with all the AI things that we can come on top, definitely that's the thing where we want to go. We want to have all these secure networks for the big enterprise clients and see what they come up with and how we can help them develop the AI stuff on top, because that's definitely the differentiator, sorry, between us and everyone else. And it's where the value will be, how the customer is going to use all these new capabilities that come up from standalone and edge computing.
I wanted to
I
say,
just
sorry, Fran, you first.
Oh no,
I wanted to say that nobody will create these solutions alone, okay? So as the Red Hat can be part of the solution providing the product, I think you can be part of the solution providing the platform, the knowledge, the sovereignty, and the capillarity. But the application, in the most of the case, depends on the customer that is behind. And we will not have one SMS application able for everything, okay, or for everyone, okay? So you will manage, I think, important application for the health industry, for all the industries that we were mentioning before, and you will, I think, you can be just the factory, okay? The factory able just to provide today this application, tomorrow different others.
Yeah, and for me, sure. Yeah, and for me, I think it's literally the dynamism of the customer experience. So right now, when you build a customer experience for a vertical, it's pretty much a hard-coded experience. Once you've built, how do you say, the proper platform to expose your services to the customer, and you put AI through the fabric, you literally can build a dynamic experience. You can literally build a dynamic web page, right? So once you start to understand the customer, that experience, what they care about, all the way from the build, if they go in and build their services, or if they want like a white glove experience like they used to have, right, with sales, or from a operational perspective, starting to understand the customer experience and what they want to see, I think is a key value for leveraging a combination of AI and really a software native platform in telecom. It's not stodgy anymore. You now give the customer exactly what they need, but also AI threaded with maybe an agentic framework through all of your network services and your other services, voice, you name it. You start having an ability to provide much more interesting products and dynamic products versus also static products. So, picture this, I would ask for, gosh, I want to hook together these sites. I want to focus number one on latency, number two on sovereignty, and number three for route diversity. And you can take all those adjectives and actually real time, talk to your agentic framework that sits atop of your product estate and actually produce complex stuff without having to have hard coded it. So even the concept of products becomes more dynamic. It's more like getting resources that listen to the customer voice and building it for them, even with a dynamic cost basis, right? So the world, I think the experience, how things are priced, how they are built, they could be temporary, bandwidth on demand, schedule bandwidth, or watch for when I need bandwidth. The whole universe and experience for enterprise telecom will have 100% changed, right? So I think it's great for the customers. It's great for telecom because our very complex operate model underneath with our legacy OSS, BSS frameworks also start to simplify. So, I really think it's a win-win for the industry.
Definitely. And I think Marie-Hélène was mentioning before, not only is technical, okay, so cultural is essential. And the same that you are saying that you have to update just the knowledge, okay, internally in order to move from IT to AI, okay, I think you can be just enablers just for the other companies, just creating ecosystem or creating just some specific, and using just generative artificial intelligence. I think Gen AI can be a very good assistant in order to democratize as much as possible the coding or just automation approach or just training and inference just task, okay? So I think at this moment, as mentioned before, you are in a unique position, not only technically, I think just from the skills and from the culture, okay, that you are adopting first that other industries, and you can provide that kind of advantage to others.
So I'll move on to the next one here, which I've spotted, and it's how does the convergence of AI and cellular networks or 5G, 6G enable the more real-time network slicing and dynamic resource allocation for more of the low latency services? And some of the examples could be autonomous vehicles, remote surgery, robotics, etc. How do you guys see this unfolding?
I just wanted to say something. Autonomous vehicles don't really use the network, so otherwise they would be remotely commanded, right? So they are not supposed to work the network until at some point they need to update. So just a bit of clarification there. If they really are autonomous, of course. If they are remotely controlled, not. But going back to the real question, so we need slicing for the clients who are not the big ones where we can put a standalone. But this is 5G is the first one that is giving us the opportunity to build these big AI and to understand how we can evolve the networks from here on. So there is definitely convergence, and this is probably, as I said, the application that we're more interested about is in exactly what we can develop from here on. It will be interesting to get autonomous vehicles in the network and understand how this is going to go forward. And well, remote surgeries, I have no idea how they are done, but I'm pretty sure that will need the video, but I don't think that will be edge computing. Just a moment. And just wanted to say that this is definitely where we want to go. So 5G standalone and then 6G, and have all these brilliant applications that will come from our enterprise connection.
Yeah, I think at least the architecture's defined, right? You have MEC, you have mobile edge compute. So the ability to run edge workloads really right right at the RAN, right at the edge gateway, right? The FAR packet gateway and all that kind of stuff is there. So I just think that the challenge will be there aren't GPUs out there, right? So at the end of the day, there will either have to be some GPU investment, right? But this ability to run the workloads are there, map them to slices and, be close to, close to where the action is on the data is there. Just need some investment, right? At the end of the day.
Yes, that is a good question, because in the most of the cases when we are talking about vehicles, autonomous vehicles, okay, really the inference service is done in the device, that is the card, okay? So really the GPUs and all the requirements are there. So if they wanted just to connect later with a centralized, so they can use, or they can build just or invest in a huge network that is already done in the telco. So is telco able to provide that kind of slicing for that kind of a specific requirement? That is one question that the telco should answer. And perhaps it's not the same answer in all the telcos or in all the regions, okay? And of course, if they decided to go ahead, they will invest a lot. But I think just creating from scratch a new network for that could be almost incredibly costly.
Very good. Well, I think we're just at the top of the session now. So thank you
Yes,
very
I think
much,
we
everyone.
have come to the end finally. I'd like to thank you. That was an excellent panel. We hope to welcome you all back in the not too distant future. In the meantime, thank you so very much.